It is my extreme pleasure this morning to introduce our speaker. Today we have Dr. Daniel Woodruff with us. He is a chiropractor in the Gaylord area. He has been a practicing healthcare provider for over 20 years, but he's also a lecturer, a media personality, a published author, and the creator of Vibrate-A-Way method, which you'll be hearing about today. Initially, he got his bachelor's degree in communications, but after several years, he discovered that his true passion was healing. So after a chiropractor changed his life by relieving him of headaches that had just plagued him for years, he went on to move to Kansas City and attend the Cleveland Chiropractic Clinic. After graduation, he became an associate and ended up owning 3 clinics. But over time, he became a little bit dissatisfied with the traditional standards of the healthcare. The how it's always been done, he felt, led to too many repeat physical therapy appointments, repeat chiropractic appointments, increased surgeries for hip replacements, shoulder replacements, on, and even led to opioid addiction. So he thought there must be a better way. So he began to embark on a journey of research and experimentation that took him several years. And he came up with the neuromuscular modulation technique used by Vibrate-A-Way. The results surprised even him. He began to see how it could restore for folks that he worked with those things that they had lost, and to give his patients hope and a better life through restored motion, improved posture, and diminish their pain. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm not going to talk about the procedure because I couldn't give it justice as much as Dr. Dan Woodruff.
Can everybody hear me like this?
Yeah, I do that.
Okay. Yeah. So if I use the microphone and I'm a little loud, I apologize. I come from a long line of loud speakers. My mother said, "Wow, you're really loud." I'm like, "No, I'm not." So she pops in a videotape and I'm like, "Wow, who's the guy yelling?" It was me. Gene, you're really good for my ego. I think I'll put you on as my PR person. You know, Gene said a comment where even I was surprised from the results that I got from my technique. And I was. And that was about it. God is the ultimate healer. He is the doctor. I was just the hands. I was smart enough to listen. And in that, I take great pride. Tesla, Nikola Tesla, we all heard of Tesla. Dr. Tesla said, if you want to understand the mysteries of the universe, you must understand energy, vibration, and frequency. Albert Einstein said, vibration is everything. They once asked Dr. Einstein, what's it like to be the smartest man in the world? Einstein said, I don't know. Go ask Tesla. So a lot of my research was based on, well, a lot of old research and a lot of new cutting edge stuff. I think we're pretty much, except maybe Sam, you might not be, and this young lady here. We all remember the Soviet Union. Their scientific minds were incredible. They were smart, smart people. And a lot of my research was based on them. Have we heard the term biomechanics, kinesiology? Soviet. There's a physicist named Nicola Bernstein who did a lot of work with motion, posture, movement to try to find the answers. And he was a brilliant man, so a lot of my research was based on that. But let's kind of cut to the nuts and bolts of all this. I don't want to bore you with the research and names. I almost quit being a chiropractor about 10 years ago. Have you ever heard that line, once you go to a chiropractor, they're going to make you keep coming? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's It's true. My industry doesn't want you to know that. And it's going to be true for two reasons. The first one, not many chiropractors fall into this, but there are a few. And that is, the guy wants to make money. I have to keep coming in every 2 weeks. It's an easy 50, 60 bucks. I'll see you in 2 weeks. The other category, which I fell into, was all I was trained to do was to take a bone and move it back into place. And guess what? They would come back 2 weeks later, and the same bone was out. That's very frustrating. I was nothing more than a glorified aspirin. It really was. And I wanted more from my life. So I was going to quit, but I went to this continuing ed seminar, and the guy was amazing. There'd be people in the audience that couldn't lift up their arm. He would, here, do some pointing and pushing, boom, arm go right up. Now, Rube didn't fall off the turnip truck, so I wasn't ready to buy just quite yet. My friend had a bad shoulder. So, as any good friend did, I offered him up as a sacrificial lamb. Go up there and see what he's going to do with it. And he came back and he's like, wow, this is amazing. So afterwards, I went up and I said, well, how does this work? Why does it work? And I really appreciate this guy was honest. He says, I have no clue. Then I thought, wow, I can give seminars, not know what I'm talking about. Hey! It started me on a path I haven't gotten off of yet. I've spent the last 10 years, thousands upon thousands of hours of research, talking to people who conduct this research. And what the new cutting edge research and the old research that we've kind of swept under the carpet is telling us is that most chronic musculoskeletal pain caused by the brain, not psychosomatic. None of us here are imagining what we're feeling. But the brain controls our musculoskeletal system on a level that we have never really grasped. It is changing it microsecond by microsecond by microsecond based on stimulus that we're feeling. Have you ever been on a boat out on the Great Lakes, right? And you do one of these, right? Well, that is your body talking to your brain. Our brain has maps of our body up there. So if I want to bend my right elbow, the brain knows where to send a signal. If not, I'd look foolish. I'd be doing this, no, not that, until I finally got it. But the body talks back to the brain. And so if I'm bending my elbow, the body's saying, don't bend it anymore, you're going to tear ligaments. And the brain's like, oh, okay. That's called proprioception. We have hundreds of millions of these nerve endings in our body. They're in our muscles, our joints, our skin, and they're continually telling my brain where I am in time and space. I didn't fall down. That's proprioception. The brain sensed all my weight here, none here. Now, if you notice, I'm bending to the left so I don't fall down. That is an accommodation. And that is why we have chronic pain. Have you ever cut your hand and bled for 4 years straight? No, that's ridiculous. Well, tissue on the inside heals at about the same rate as tissue on the outside. But we go see somebody, and they're like, well, that might have been that disc bulge you had 10 years ago. See, healthcare, we really like to have a single cause with a single effect. That way we can have a single solution. Chiropractor will say, oh, you're out of alignment. That's causing nerve interference. I'll adjust that back into place and you're good. Medical doctor might say, oh, you have inflammation in that joint. I'll give you some steroids. You'll feel good. It's nice and neat. Single cause, single effect, single solution. And as a result, we have all been trained to think that way. Right? The body and the brain aren't that neat. It doesn't work that neat. We have a complex system of accommodations to help keep our body in a homeostasis condition. Now, how many of you are familiar with the term homeostasis? Homeostasis was a term we learned in high school biology, and they beat it into us like a kettle drum. Boom, 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 boom. Matter of fact, if I didn't know an answer to a test question, I'd write down homeostasis. I got some of them right. How about that? And then that carried with me into medical school, and when I didn't know a Latin term, I would do my Bugs Bunny Latin and write down, carnivorous maximus. So what happens is we need to be kept in a homeostatic condition. Homeostasis is a universal law to all living things that says the only reason for the existence of a cell is to remain stable. That's why you hear cells are the building block of matter. Cells make up tissues, tissues make up organs. We are 7 organ systems in a soul. Therefore, we have to follow that law. We know that with temperature, blood pressure, all the internal organ health. But we've never really thought about what it means to the musculoskeletal system, which is an organ system. That homeostasis is stability. The brain can care less if you can move. The brain can care less if you hurt. But by golly, it's going to make sure you're going to be stable and you're not going to fall down. That's what the brain wants for your musculoskeletal system. So what happens to us? Well, let's say I stub my baby toe. Whack. Part of my brain says, ow, that hurts. But the part of the brain that has the maps says, oh my gosh, I've lost my right foot. It seems ridiculous, but it's true. When you feel pain in an area, you can't feel proprioception from that area. Meaning the brain doesn't know where it is. Now, to make sure that we're stable, the brain's got to come up with an alternative quick. So what do? We step on the inside of our foot. We keep our baby toe up. And then we hobble like this. And you're like, Dan, what did you do? Well, I think I broke my toe trying to be cute and give a demonstration. 3 weeks later, Dan, how are you? Hey, I'm fine. But no, I'm not. I am still walking with an accommodation. See, when I stub my toe, we all know that I'm going to walk on the inside of my foot. That's easy. But my body has made 6 other accommodations. My knee, my pelvis, my low back going this way, my mid back going this way, my left shoulder coming high, and my head getting to the midline. Those I don't even know about. But 9 months from now, my knee's going to swell up like a tick. And my brother's an MD, so I'm going to see my brother. And he's going to say, well, what did you do, bonehead? That's how we talk, you know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're the doctor, figure it out. No. And I'll say, I don't know what I did. He's like, oh, think about it. Certainly, no. So he's going to give me steroids and muscle relaxants, and they work. But prescription runs out, my knee swells back up. So I'm going to go to a physical therapist, and they're going to say, well, let's stretch these muscles out here. They're too tight. Let's strengthen this. I go there for 6 to 8 weeks, 2 to 3 times a week, and when they're done, here comes a big packet of home exercises, which I don't do. So now I'm desperate. I decide to go to a chiropractor. You know, my first words to a chiropractor was, bone cruncher, keep away from me. You're not going to touch me. I thought they were quacks. Then I became one and realized we are. No. Patient. Sometimes I'll get hurt and patients will say, yeah, you need to go see a chiropractor. I'm like, no, I'll go to a real doctor, thank you. So we go to a chiropractor and he's like, well, your pelvis is out, so let's adjust you back to the midline. And I do that whole routine. Goes back down. So what is the problem? The problem is that the brain changed my posture. So no matter what I do, only the brain can change the posture again. Right? How many times have you had a bad shoulder or a bad knee, and the doctor says, oh, wow, let's take a look at that knee. Okay. They don't even talk about the brain. They don't even care. They're going to look at the knee. Single cause, single effect. It's too intricate of a system. So, what we have to realize is that the brain will make accommodations based on pain because it needs to talk to the body, right? Now, that's the bottom line of this whole thing. Now, after an injury heals, healthcare as a whole has wrongly assumed that once that area of the body is better, we will undo the accommodation. No, it stays forever. And that's why 3-year-olds are like this, and I look like Fred Flintstone today walking around. We stack accommodations upon accommodations upon accommodations. How many of you here have had an arthritis diagnosis?
Oh, come on, there's way more.
I was going to say, thank you for raising your hands, and all the others, you're liars. No. One of the things that we lose perspective on, too, is that healthcare doesn't know where your pain's coming from. We have no objective device to measure it. That's why when you go to a doctor's office, on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you put this? Right? We don't have a device to say, oh, you got 10 gigahertz of pain coming from this area. Now, my son Liam is a very smart young man, but he hasn't gone to college. He has just as much chance of telling you where your pain is as any other doctor. Granted, we have better educated guesses, but we don't know. And so what happens is we get told, well, it's good old Uncle Arthur. You're just going to have to learn to live with it. Oh, that's the perks of getting old. I'm the kind of person, God bless my parents, they passed away, but they deserved a medal dealing with a child like me. I never accepted those kinds of answers. And that's what led me to do this. You might have arthritis, but how do you know it's causing your pain? It might only be causing 10% of your pain. We don't know. But we get handed that diagnosis and we go ahead and lower the bar for ourselves. All right, I'll have to get used to that. All right, well, that's just how it is. I guess I won't take those walks like I used to like to. Oh, what a shame. We shouldn't ever accept having the bar lowered on us. Most of the pain and dysfunction that we have with our musculoskeletal system of a chronic nature, by chronic I mean longer than basically a month, is the mechanism I just described to you. The brain needs to be stable. It needs the body to talk to it. And if it isn't, it's going to find a way that it will. That's an accommodation. They will never go away unless we tell the brain, stop it. And that is what I figured out. A lot of research is coming out about the benefits of whole body vibration. Have you ever been on any of those machines where you stand on the platform and it shakes and it's supposed to help you get fit? And yeah, and a lot of the research is coming out that it is very helpful for shoulders and knees and everything, and that they notice like a 3% improvement and this and that and the other, and it looks promising, but we need more research. So I thought to myself, well, I can do better than 3%, can't I? And if it works good, just putting your whole body and having it shake. Maybe if I just did it to specific sites. So if I couldn't move my shoulder the way I should, what if I worked on the muscles of the shoulder that were responsible for the movements it couldn't do? Ha ha, genius, I thought, genius. And then the person would come back the next visit and I'd do some more. And then it didn't. I'm like, well, that can't be. I did everything exactly the same. But I found out I didn't. Have you ever heard that the brain is like a computer? It is. If I was to do programming.
Camera's right on this side.
And any of my programming codes were interposed, mixed up by one little bit, none of that program would work. The brain is very particular about its stimuli, just like that. So the key was to be able to find a way to apply vibration to the body in which the brain would say, okay, I get it, we'll do that, sure. And that took me years. But once you find that pattern of using vibration, then the brain is easy. It is easy. See, posture, good posture is the beginning and end point of all motion. Actually, posture is a whole. So if my posture is good, my movement is good. If my movement is good, I don't have pain. I don't get degeneration. But if my posture is bad, my movement is bad, and I get pain and degeneration. It always amazed me how 70-year-old women were getting rotator cuff surgery and they never pitched a day of Major League Baseball in their life. Why? Because they spent the last 45 years of their life doing this. Just because you're old doesn't mean that you should hurt. It doesn't mean that you're going to have arthritis. It is the duration of your accommodation which determines whether or not you hurt when you're older. How old are you, Sam, again? 24? 21. Yeah, Sam's not going to have a lot of pain because he hasn't carried the accommodation as long as us. Some of us have carried it 50 years, 40 years. So of course we're going to hurt. It's like me standing on one leg. I can do it for 30 seconds, easy peasy. So if we come back to me in 15 minutes, this leg's going to be tightening up, it's going to be cramping, I'm going to be shaking, I'm going to be sweating. That's how it is with musculoskeletal conditions. The brain has the power to alter your posture through vibration and percussion, and that's what I do. See, those proprioceptive nerves that's throughout your body, that allow us to stand on a boat and not fall down out in the lake, or for me to do this without falling down. Well, they respond to a whole bunch of different stimuli. Vibration, percussion, stretch, pressure, velocity, angulations, all these make the brain make accommodations. So I utilize vibration and percussion to achieve that. The process is not an overnight, one-time, wow, this is amazing. We have also been trained that we should get quick results. We can have a condition for 40 years and expect it to go away in a week. Unrealistic. People don't like to hear it, but it's true. The brain, wanting to keep homeostasis, will try to go back to the old posture. So if I'm like this, and I apply vibration and percussion, and boom, pop you back up, it feels great. You can move good, things don't hurt. The brain's like, oh, yeah, but we're gonna mow the lawn, and we usually do it this way, right? And back you go. And then you have to come and see me, and I put it back up. The brain is going to hold on to the old posture for its old stability. So what I have to do is I make that old posture, that old stability unstable. So what used to be stable for me is now unstable to the brain, because every time it tries to do this, you come in and boom, I bring it back up. This process takes 60 days. Not visits, but 60 calendar days. Why? I have no clue. The brain waves the white flag and says, fine, we'll do it your way. Your brain will take the path of least resistance in all things. Our brain is made 80% of water. Its transmissions are electrical chemical gradients. Electricity, water, always takes the path of least resistance. I've had enough flooded walls, drips down into the wall. I'm like, uh-oh. So, the brain isn't going to create a new posture. It's going to use the one I'm giving it. And that is what I do. The results I do are phenomenal. If you know me, you know I'm a humble man. But I also don't undersell what I do in this world. After all, God is the doctor. I get people that fly. I live in Gaylord, Michigan. I am a tornado survivor.
Yeah.
I gotta get back to my point. Jessica, remind me where I left off. So, I almost feel partially to blame for this tornado. I'm going to admit. See, up in northern Michigan, we love the summers, but half the population are going to complain about the summers because it's too hot. Same people will complain about the winter because it's too cold and snowy. And so my line was, yeah, but at least we don't get tornadoes. Yes. The tornado went about 100 yards away from, the center of the tornado was 100 yards away from our house. It was. I was at my clinic in Lewiston, which is a half hour away. Got news of a tornado warning. Basically shut down my clinic. People were going to come. I don't care. And I drove as fast as I could to get to my house. Now, thank goodness for cell phone technology. I knew Jessica and Liam were safe. But I was still hustling to get to my family. I saw the tornado leaving as it went by. And the irony of this is I lived in Missouri for 6 years. Didn't see a one. Northern Michigan, I get 100 yards from my house. Go figure. So anyways, where was I, Jessica?
You said, and that is what I do. You just wrapped
Okay,
up
very
60
good.
calendar days, and that's what you do.
Yep. So I get people that will travel from Chicago to see me, from these areas, Grand Rapids, other states that come and see me. The results I get are absolutely incredible because I'm letting you use your own brain to make the changes. The brain is the most powerful thing in this world. We haven't tapped into it. We're trying to figure out how to go to Mars, but we should be thinking about the brain. And what can the brain do? I'm now conducting further research into other things. What I have done, and if you want to hold that up, my technique I have put in a booklet form. It's real easy. It's a paint by number. Just follow the numbers.
Yeah.
Just, I put everything in there. See, I don't want to give this to doctors. I want to give it to you guys, the people. Doctors will try to monetize it. I don't really give a flying rip about dead presidents. They've never really did anything for me in my life. I care about living human beings. I care about making the world better. What the optimists do with children causes is amazing. It's wonderful. I heavily believe in community service. I've served on the board of directors for the American Red Cross, American Cancer Association. I've part of Kiwanis Alliance. So I am a true believer. I love to see young people. We need more. So what I like to do is I like to give back. So let's talk about children. Let's talk about what can this do to children. Remember, we stack accommodations on top of each other. And that process begins at a very young age. Kids are very active. The last time I jumped on a couch or a bed, I don't remember. But they do. And they fall. And we're like, they're made of rubber. That'll be okay. Shake it off, right? And if you're of our generation, unless you're bleeding, you didn't go see a doctor, right? You'll be fine. Okay. You know, I once had a fractured arm. God love my parents. They waited a week before they took me to the doctor because he just wasn't sure if it was that serious. So that's how we were raised. But see, we set the future of our children in motion. We can teach them things. We teach them right and wrong. I always look at it as a canvas of painting. We all get a blank canvas, and that's called our life. And so ours to paint on. But sometimes people paint on it for us because they want to protect us, or they want to guide us and shape us. And so they start to kind of paint the picture for us. My goal in life has always been to leave my son's canvas blank. It's his canvas. He needs to paint on it. I can teach him how to paint. I can teach him all about the colors that you can use. I can teach him about shading, perspective. But it's his canvas. But if you have musculoskeletal pain or conditions, that affects your life. And we have the ability to set children on the proper path at a very young age. I do it to Liam. I apply the vibration. I do the protocols on him. It works on children. They have needs too. It's not just grown-ups. And the more we can keep a posture like this, the better they'll move and the less problems they'll have. And that's something we owe to them. If I could have a practice of any group of people, it would be children. It would be children. Because they'll set the path down the road and they will be fine. And I like it because they're good for my ego. One treatment, I'm like, I'm great. I'm like, I hate you. Get out! How long do I have? Because I'm very verbose.
5 more hours.
I'm just warming up. Any questions? That's what I thought.
So is this, I'm saying, you're talking about psychosomatic?
No. That the brain controls it, but you're not feeling it just generated out there. The brain controls the posture and the musculoskeletal system, and that causes pain. But it's not generated by the brain. Did that answer your question? Almost. I like those nice fuzzy babies. I'll get back to it. Yes, sir.
I probably missed something.
Yeah.
But could you describe the method of connecting the brain to that's relearning how to fix the posture and therefore fix the problem? I have that right.
Sure. Yes, that's Colonel Sanders' 27 ingredients.
What's the steps that you actually employ in your practice?
Sure.
that do that?
No, that's a really good question, actually. For example, my shoulders are rolled in. I spend my whole life doing this. It's fun, bending down. My brain needs to change my posture to keep me stable. So it takes my pec muscles, tightens them up, and then turns them off.
Accommodation.
Right? So it turns them off. There's a part of my brain called basal ganglia that inhibits muscular expression. So that way it's tight. Because if not, I'd walk in and I'd be like, "Hi, Tom, I'm Dan. I'm your speaker." You'd be like, "No, you're not." So what I do is vibration tells the brain, you know that muscle you turned off? Turn it on, please. And percussion says, "Whoa, you're using that muscle way too much. Calm down, calm down." And so I'm basically going around sculpting your posture by having your brain do it. Did that answer your question?
How do you apply the vibration, I think is what he's asking.
Yes, any home massager you can use. It doesn't matter the quality.
So if you have a rotator cuff issue,
Yes.
you can do some repairing with vibration, massaging that area.
Yeah. Give me a favor. Lift your left arm straight up in the air as high as you can. Okay, good, bring that down. Okay. So what's happening is your shoulder is rolled in based on the accommodation. The brain wants to limit the motion when you get injured, okay? So it restricted some of your motions. So now when you lift your arm, your collarbone is not spinning as full as it should. If the collarbone spins, then it allows the shoulder blade to spin. And that's how you lift your arm. You have to do it differently. So now the brain's going to use this muscle here, the upper trap's going to lift it up. Doesn't it feel good when somebody rubs your shoulders there and you're like, "Oh, right." That's because you're moving your arm incorrectly. The brain's had to figure out another way of doing it. And that's called a synergy, and I'm not going to get into that. But yeah. Did that help?
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Gene. You're going to be my interpreter. Yes,
So
sir.
you apply vibration, but just said any vibrate or anything like that?
Yes. I am a research nut, and I experiment a lot. I will take, haha, stop it. I have used this
Okay.
to prove that it doesn't matter what you use, and I've taken a pen
Oh, all right.
and even did that, and it worked. Not as good as a home massager,
Right.
but it doesn't matter. Jake, do we have a massager on our website?
Yes.
So if you go to Vibrate-A-Way.com, I think we have a massager there that is a good bang for your buck, you know, and you can get it anywhere. Any other questions?
Yeah, in your book, you can get that on.
On Amazon?
Amazon.
Amazon? Okay.
99.
Yeah.
That's gotta be-
Yes, ma'am.
So I have permanent nerve
Gotta be
damage
exposed.
from my spine, and numb my legs, my legs, from here down.
Mhm.
So I've been told there's like, I'm not surgical anymore because where it's coming from.
Mhm.
But using, and I work, so it doesn't.
Mhm.
But, well, what matters is my brain
Mhm.
will stop me from falling, because the leg will give up.
Mhm.
But I'm looking for alternatives, because I'm not surgically able to have the pinched nerve in my spine fixed, so that I have full movement with my left leg.
Absolutely.
So, what do you offer somebody that has that kind of condition? Do you do anything different?
Yeah, I basically apply vibration and percussion and a pattern, a very unique pattern. You see,
But I know the brain,
Mhm.
my brain tells me to move my leg.
Mhm.
My brain, I keep from falling, because my leg will give out at any given time.
Mhm.
So I understand what you're talking about, and I work for a kinesiologist,
Mhm.
but there's been no ability to find a way to work my body. Because now I've got arthritis in both knees, which keeps me in pain 24 hours a day. All the back surgeries created a permanent situation, which I won't get into. Everybody knows me.
All I would say is come see me. Come see me.
I would be very curious to see
Yes.
what you have to say.
You wouldn't believe the things I've done.
So I'm not, it's not a textbook case, but I think something that maybe
Yes.
with before.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The hospital sends me there, we give up cases. And they do it not just to dump them, but they've heard of what I've done and what I can do. I have a very good relationship with the medical community up in Northern